Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Kari's Confessions, the nonprofit exec tells all. I'm Kari Anderson, your host and principal with Incite Consulting. My podcast explores the tools and strategies that help nonprofit leaders grow their impact and build resilient organizations. As always, I'm here to share some hard earned lessons and honest truths from life inside the nonprofit world. I spent 25 plus years in the nonprofit sector in leadership roles with 7 organizations. Now I provide coaching and consulting services to ensure that nonprofits, like yours, have the structure, systems, and practices to do your best work. Wherever I go, I continue to hear that nonprofit execs need a space to gather, to receive tools, feedback, and advice that encourages them to stay the course. It doesn't matter if you're in a village of 182 or a metropolis of millions, nonprofit work is both gratifying and lonely. I'm here to make sure that you have a chance to breathe, laugh, smirk, and get excited again about the important work that you do. If you've ever sat in a nonprofit meeting where marketing is asking for better stories, fundraising is asking for more leads, and everyone is quietly wondering who's actually in charge of the calendar, you are not alone. Nonprofit work is meaningful. It is also messy. There's rarely a clean playbook. Teams are lean, deadlines pile up, boards have opinions and options, and donors have expectations. And somehow you are still supposed to do more with less while keeping your mission, your people, and your numbers on track. But here's the good news. Aligning marketing and fundraising is absolutely possible, and it does not require a massive reorg or a fancy new tool. What it does require is clarity, shared priorities, and a few simple systems. Today, we're going to talk about how to align marketing and fundraising without the chaos. So, first, why does this feel so chaotic? Let's start with the real issue. Most nonprofits don't struggle because they lack passion. They struggle because they're trying to run complex organizations without shared operating rules. Here's what that often looks like. Marketing is treated like a support function, so fundraising tosses requests over the wall. Fundraising is treated like the money function, so marketing feels used, not partnered. Leadership wants growth, but no one has defined what growth actually means this year. And because everyone is busy, planning becomes reactive, if there's any planning at all. The urgent always wins over the important. And underneath all of this is one core misunderstanding. A nonprofit is not a business model, it is a tax status. Your business model is the system you build to create impact and generate revenue. And that system lives and dies by your people, your processes, and your relationships. Marketing and fundraising, they're two sides of the same relationship engine. When they're misaligned, you just don't lose efficiency, you lose trust. So let's start with one shared outcome. Before you talk tactics, campaigns, or content, you need to answer one question. What are we trying to produce together? Because right now, most teams are measuring different things. Marketing is measuring visibility, engagement, list growth. Fundraising is measuring dollars, retention, and pipeline. Both matter, but not if they're not connected. And if they're not connected, they compete. So here's a simple reset. Define one sentence that both teams own. For example, we will grow reliable revenue by strengthening donor relationships. Or, we will build a major gift pipeline through deeper engagement. Or, we will stabilize annual giving by improving the donor experience. If you can't get to one sentence, that's your signal. You don't need another campaign, you need a strategy. And specifically, a strategy conversation. So let's talk about building one donor journey as an example. A lot of tension comes from this false divide. Marketing thinks in audiences and content, fundraising thinks in donors and asks. But your supporters, they experience one organization. They don't care who sent the email. They care if the experience feels clear, human, and worth their trust. So instead of arguing about ownership, build a shared donor journey. Keep it simple, just 5 stages. Discovery. how people find you, engagement, why they stick around, conversion, first gift, connection, relationship building, and commitment, ongoing giving or advocacy. Then define handoffs. Marketing leads early stages, fundraising leads later stages. Both support each other throughout. The magic isn't in the model, it's in agreeing on the handoffs. So we also need at least one revenue narrative, but let's just start with one. Here's something most teams underestimate. If marketing tells one story and fundraising tells another, donors feel it immediately. You need one core narrative. It should include the problem, your approach, proof, the gap, the invitation. This isn't just messaging, it's strategy. When your story is aligned, content gets easier, asks get clearer, stewardship feels authentic. If you're struggling here, it's usually not a writing problem. It's an alignment problem. So next, we want to install what I would call a shared rhythm. Alignment doesn't come from more meetings. It comes from a predictable rhythm. Here's a simple structure. Weekly 30-minute meeting, think 30 minutes, right? A quick revenue and visibility huddle, if you will, right? So what's included in that 30-minute meeting? What went out? What's coming up? Where do we need each other? What's at risk? Monthly, there will be a 60 to 90-minute meeting. You'll review campaign, and specifically campaign performance, major gift pipeline, content needs. On a quarterly basis, I'd like you to set aside half a day. This is important, right? You'll decide in that meeting what to double down on, what to stop, what capacity you actually have. And if you only do one of these, make it a monthly meeting. That's where most misalignment gets caught early. So next, I want us to fix the number one friction point. Let's be honest. Most conflict between marketing and fundraising, it is not personality, it's process. Think about this. Imagine, can you make a flyer by tomorrow? We need an email ASAP. That is not collaboration, that's chaos. So fix the system. Create a simple request process, a standard intake form, clear timeline rules, a prioritization system. This isn't bureaucracy, it's how you protect your team and your results. Now we want to plan around revenue. Many nonprofits plan their year-round events, then try to squeeze fundraising in between. Flip it. Like yesterday. Your revenue strategy should drive your calendar. That might include 2 to 4 major fundraising moments, ongoing stewardship, major gift focus periods, strategic visibility moments. Then ask, what does the donor need to see, feel, and understand before we ask? That question alone changes everything. Now, let's talk about major gifts and the board. Major gifts are where alignment matters most because the donor experience is a sequence. That sequence includes story, connection, trust, ask, stewardship. Marketing supports with content. Fundraising supports with relationships. If those aren't aligned, you lose both money and trust, and we can't ignore the board. If your board is unclear about its role, staff ends up always absorbing the pressure. A strong board helps with relationships, credibility, and stewardship. A weak board creates noise. Governance is often the hidden lever in alignment. So here's a simple 30-day reset for you to consider. If you're feeling stuck, here's where to start. Week 1, define the shared outcome between marketing and fundraising. And folks, this works just fine whether you've got a marketing contractor, whether you have marketing staff. Week 2, map the donor journey. Week 3, build a 90-day calendar, and week 4, install the weekly rhythm and request process. You don't need perfection. You need traction. So let's wrap this up. Marketing and fundraising alignment is not about getting along better, although that's helpful. It's about running your organization like the relationship-driven enterprise it is. When you align these two functions, you reduce stress, you increase trust, you create consistency, and you build sustainable revenue. If things feel chaotic right now, hear this: you are not failing. You're seeing what happens when systems are unclear in a sector that rarely hands you a playbook. And you can change it. Start small. One shared outcome, one shared rhythm, one clear story. Then keep going. If you're ready to untangle the knots, have the hard conversations, and build systems your team can actually follow, take one step this week. Invite collaboration. Ask for clarity. Lead with intention. That's how you make a difference without the chaos. Thanks for joining me today for Kari's Confessions, a nonprofit exec tells all. If you found this episode helpful, share it with a colleague or board member. Make sure to follow me on your favorite streaming platforms, and for additional resources and tools, follow me on LinkedIn. You can also check out my website at inciteconsultinggroup.com. Until next time, have a great week.